Happy Tuesday, beautiful people. Happy Tuesday. It is August the 29th, 2023, day 96 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. Under the 5-year consecutive day count, it is a 1,476. Today, we're going to read the next chapter in Owaspy in the book of Fragapati, which is chapter 11, and that starts on page 173. And then once we get done there, we're going to hop right over to the secret Nazarite scroll, also entitled the Holy Megillah. That's its official name. And begin on page 568 and read chapter 41. Peter's up to his shenanigans. We were supposed to get to this the other day, but we didn't get to it because, we didn't. But anyway, Father, we thank you that not only are you the greatest divine engineer ever, but your design is flawless. All right, beautiful people. So let's get started. Who all here? Nazarene is saying, what's going on, fam? Grand Rising, Creator Gang, family lab. Tabitha, Keon Cooper is her son. She using her son account if y'all forgot. Shalom, sis, and the creator's children. Avia, greetings. Nazarene is saying, said again, Grand Rising, Creator Gang, family lab. You know what? It's the same message posted twice. Maybe he's quick finger and didn't realize it, or whatever. Elijah, what's going on, fam? Peace and blessings, beloved family. All praises to the Creator. Yo, Mom, shalom, peace and blessings, and everybody else here hanging out in the background. Top of the day to you. Let's get going. Chapter 11, page 173 at the top, the book of Fragapati. The Avalanza was so constructed that the words spoken by Fragapati and Hoab could be heard by all who chose, of whom were 2,000 million on board. And when Hoab expressed conviction, the same sentiment seized upon the whole assembly, whereupon Fragapati raised his hand, saying, by virtue of thy power, O Jehovah, I will illume this hell. Right? So, quick recap. Remember, Fragapati went to the best perfect heaven. Hoab and his crew decided, after listening to this and seeing them come back the second time with things bigger and better than they can find or create in their biggest, most best perfect heaven, they decided to put on their clothes and roll with them to see what other worlds exist, right? First stop was hell, right? And then they realized some of the people that they recognized down there came from their best, most perfect heaven. They ain't had nothing else to do. They done grew to wherever they could grow to while being there. And so because Creator has created us to continually grow and progress, if there's no way to go this way, we can't continue growing this way, we got to go in the opposite direction. Some of them got stuck in hell. They recognize them. Man, what you doing here? Well, you ain't had nowhere else for us to go. It was perfect forever. That's what you told us. And we needed something else to do. So they're here. They illuminate heaven. They're going to rescue people who have been, I ain't going to say chilling in hell, but they haven't been able to get past that level while trying to continue growing, right? So they're illuminating hell. Okay. Fragapati raised his hand, saying, by virtue of thy power, O Jehovah, will I illume this hell. And by Fragapati's will, there was created a sudden light so brilliant, none present save the Etherians could look upon him. Hoab bowed down and hid his face and looked upon him. Hoab bowed down and hid his face, and Hoab's hosts were overcome with fear, prostrating themselves on the floor of the Avalanza. Fragapati said to the swift messengers, go at once to Moru, greeting, and say that Fragapati demandeth at once 1 million Etherian volunteers for signal centers in Aosu's lowest hills, bringing rods of fire and water. And after 1 million is reference number 13, and 13 at the bottom says 1,000 million. That was in the previous version. All right. Verse 4. The swift messengers departed hastily. Fragapati then commanded that the Avalanza be anchored for a day, and he and many of his hosts went out into hell, where the spirits were weeping and wailing and cursing, or lying in drunkenness and lethargy. Many of them were naked and foul-smelling, and hundreds of thousands of them, having had diseased corporal bodies while on earth, meaning I had all that going on with them before they died, right? Many of them were naked and foul-smelling, and hundreds of thousands of them, having had diseased corporal bodies whilst on earth, had now carried with them into hell the substance of their corruptions, even the rottenness of plagues and consumptions and other diseases. It is not even lawful to mention. You know how some people say, well, they ain't in pain no more. Maybe they are. I mean, let's not be funny, but seriously. Because you're not immediately made perfect. I know growing up in church, at least a couple churches I done been through, because they don't know, they only reach a certain level, they don't even really tap in. And so they say, well, they're not in pain anymore, they're perfect now. Nope. If you had holes in your soul while you was here, you're gonna have holes in your souls when you depart from here, right? And you have to be healed along the way. You got to continue to progress and grow. All right, let me read that again. Verse 4, page 173 at the top of Owaski, Book of Fragapati. The swift messengers departed hastily. Fragapati then commanded that the Avalanza be anchored for a day, and he and many of his hosts went out into hell, where the spirits were weeping and wailing and cursing, or lying in drunkenness and lethargy. Many of them were naked and foul-smelling, and hundreds of thousands of them, having had diseased corporal bodies whilst on earth, had now carried with them into hell the substance of their corruptions, even the rottenness of plagues and consumptions and of other diseases. It is not even lawful to mention. Fragapati said, by thy power, O Jehovah, shall a wall of fire encompass these people about. They shall not escape. For were they to return to mortals, they would inoculate them unto death. Fire, O Jehovah, fire, thou all purifier. Now, being in church, we mentioned this before, right? As I began to learn about these rods of fire and stuff, and I'm like, well, what about all these people dreams and stuff, and the fire in hell? It just depends on their understanding of what they saw, their right or wrong interpretation of their dream and what this fire was for. Now, was there fire by those more wicked than they in the hills? Yep, absolutely. But there's also a fire that purifies, that's there when it's time for them to be rescued. Not that you get 5 years down here, then we're gonna come get you, right? But there's still like a development of your spirit and your soul while you're there, if you allow it. And at any time, you can choose that you don't want to be there anymore. But some of them, it's like falling in with clicks. If they're negative, you become negative. It's like that same type of thing, right? So when those who are in line with the light of the Creator, or the good guys or the angels, whatever you want to call them, right? When they come, they also have fire and rods of fire and rods of water to kind of like quarantine you, right? Quarantine you. So because you get quarantined, because most of the time you're down there, if you're down there for long periods of time, you become deranged, you become crazy, whatever you want to call it. So while they trying to run all over the place or whatever, it's almost like putting a baby in a pen, right? Or a dog behind the gate. You have to wall them about to protect them, to protect others, until you can get them to a place where they can be restored. And they'll be transported within those walls of fire, according to Owaski. Verse 5, Fragapati said, by thy power, O Jehovah, shall a wall of fire encompass these people about. They shall not escape. For were they to return to mortals, they would inoculate them unto death. Fire, O Jehovah, fire, thou all purifier. And this is going to get into a lot of detail about this too. Tabitha said, why are these spirits naked? Where are their clothes that they were buried in? Laugh out loud. I see you was being facetious. Better laugh out loud. You can't take your clothes into that realm. Champions. Or champions. Hold on. That was I changed my switch tone. We started a little late, but anyway. Dreadful Cosma, blessings. Dratio. I probably said that wrong. I probably screwed your name up. I'm sorry. Good morning. I got this thing about pronouncing names wrong. Not that I do it on purpose. I don't. I'm sorry if I screwed it up. Just me. Many blessings, family. Whatever is within the seed when sown, that is what it will produce. Once produced, it must be pruned of defilement. Death will be similar. Death will be similar in the background. One love. I don't disagree with that. I do not disagree with that. Big Will Warrior. What's going on, fam? Grand Risings. Okay. Verse 6, and he cast his hand outward and upward in majesty, and there rose up walls of fire on the face of the mountains, and the light thereof fell into the valleys of Upsa, the pit of hell. To the east and west and north and south, Fragapati turned, saying, a wall of fire, and he himself shone as a sun, united with the ethereal all-creator, whose voice was power to will the elements to his will. Presently, there were hemmed into one field more than 500 million Druhas, or church says demons. Depending on where you at, they got different names for it. But those who have become devoid of light in their souls and their spirits. Presently, there were hemmed into one field more than 500 million Druhas, who, by the sudden transformation, were roused up to desperate wildness with bated breath, running hither and thither, first one way, then another. Kind of like roaches when you cut on a light. Not that I got roaches, but I've heard stories. I answered this sometime growing up. Not that we kept our place dirty, but sometimes, as kids, if you don't clean up, then mama's like, see this, you see this? Clean up now, So we learned our lesson real quick. We don't want to live like that. Presently, there were hemmed into one field more than 5,000 million Druhas, who, by the sudden transformation, were roused up to desperate wildness with bated breath, running hither and thither, first one way and then another. And yet there were other millions of them, so low and stupid and crazed that the others ran over them as if they were but a heap of rubbish, death. Then Fragapati went to Joab, saying, for pity's sake, come thou and help me, and persuade thy host also. Joab said, O friend and brother, do not mock me. This Joab is a mess. He's like, listen, we told you who's going to come along for the ride. We didn't tell you who's going to get out here and get dirty and help you, right? Then Fragapati went to Joab, saying, for pity's sake, come thou and help me, and persuade thy host also. Joab said, O friend and brother, do not mock me. Thou hast undone me entirely. I am nothing. My hosts are nothing. For pity's sake, temper thou thy own light. It pierceth me through. Fragapati said, shall I not send thee back quickly to the red hole with thy host? You want to go back to your most best perfect heaven? Y'all better do something. We here now. Joab said, my wish is nothing. My will is nothing. Thine and thy great all powers will be done. Fragapati said, if ever thou hadst faith in thy life, I charge thee now quickly to summon it to thy soul, for great Jehovah is with me now. And but ask and speak in faith by the Creator, and it shall be granted unto thee. Speak quickly, whilst yet the power holdeth upon me. Shall I put on 1,000-fold more light? Say thou, in faith I will endure all for the glory of Jehovah. Give me or fire or torments or whatsoever thou wilt, O Jehovah. Joab trembled and then strained in every part, and at last suddenly sprang up facing the light, melting in the flame of fire. And he said, I will endure all in faith of thee, O Jehovah. Give me or fire or torments or whatsoever thou wilt. Henceforth I will do for thee forever. Presently his spirit took the crystal form, and victory dawned upon his soul. A smile, denoting knowledge of all holiness and majesty, gleamed in his countenance. The light began to retract and to reflect from his face, Brilliant in sunlight, he had conquered and won. He said, "Thanks, O Jehovah." Fragapati said, "Quick, now seize the gold. Go forth, practicing thy light for others, and it will grow giant-like." And Joab was strong in faith, almost mad with delight of such wondrous change. And he rushed forth, commanding in the name of Jehovah, raising up hundreds and thousands, even as he had been raised, crystallizing. All one day and one night they labored, and all the Etherians with them, and they rescued and divided and subdivided the spirits of darkness into grades and sections. And many of the spirits belonging to the host of Joab were thus raised to the second resurrection with light and power. But of the hundreds of millions of spirits in torments of hell, none were as yet raised even to the first resurrection, but they were stirred up and routed out of lethargy, and the supplies for their drunkenness were cut off by the walls of fire created by Fragapati, which went up day and night without ceasing. And Fragapati stationed sentinels with power, excuse me, and Fragapati stationed sentinels with power near the walls of fire, commanding them to cast in the elements of oogs and brimstone, so that the suffocating smell would prevent the Druhas from escaping. On the second day, 1,000,000 Etherians, and after Etherians is reference number 15, 15 at the bottom says a millions of Etherians. That was in a previous version. Go back up, verse 18, one page 175 at the top. Verse 18. On the second day, 1,000,000 Etherians with rods of water and rods of fire came from Moru in answer to Fragapati's commandment. And when they had arrived before him and had saluted in the sign of Jehovah's name, he said unto them, "Behold, I have established one signal center in hell. It will require 1,000 more centers before we have broken them up and delivered them. From the rank of Das, DAS, the marshals shall select from amongst you 10,000 to remain in this center and complete the work I have laid out." So the marshals selected from the Etherians of the rank of Das 10,000. Now the Das are such as have attained to power with the rod of water and with the rod of fire, but not with the hand, like the ranks above them. So remember a while ago when we talk about people who they get all deep into the ancestors and all this stuff and in magic, and what they fail to realize, they're using all of these things like candles and all of these third-party items to learn how to manipulate the elements and everything, and they fail to realize that they themselves are the candle, right? So until it's just like when they started with the idols. The original, and Bella took my other one, was upstairs. I forgot to grab it. So normally I had two of these where they look the same. But anyway, so the original intention of idol worship, right? The original intention was at that time when man was raising up to another level spiritually, having spiritual understanding, where the idols were supposed to represent the great creator. Not that you were ever supposed to worship the idols, but something happened in the passage of time where people forgot that these were just props, giving you something to see before you're actually able to do it by yourself. Just like when babies are learning to walk, they're using props to help them stand up until they get their balance. You know, they're crawling, and then when it's time for them to learn to walk, they need some kind of prop to help them, whether it's mom's hand, dad's hand, sister's hand, brother's hand, the nearest thing, the puppy, the cat, which they fell down on. They need something to help them stand up and get their balance. But once you get your balance, you can begin to start dancing, doing some of everything, right? And you no longer need these. But we forgot that. We kept the idols and we then turned them into something it's never supposed to be. And religions are full of it. Now they're worshiping gods that never should have become a thing. It was only a prop for a period of time until we realized that these represent the great creator, or these were supposed to represent the great creator. Once we're able to make that connection, I am spirit of the great spirit, we should do away with these because we should have our balance. But like I said, along the passage of time, somebody has forgotten to let you know that you're not worshiping these. It's as if we're teaching, we're giving you something to see, until you train your mind, right? It's like meditation or praying in tongues if you're in church. But praying in tongues or the chanting is the idol, or the thing that helps you stand up, the thing that helps you to focus your flesh until your spirit is in tune with the Creator. Once that happened, you no longer even need to do that, because now you're in tune, right? You're in that channel, you're in that flow, you're on that same vibrational wavelength, whatever you want to call it, right? Which is why when you practice it for a period of time, consistently over time, you don't even need to chant anymore. You don't even need to pray in tongues anymore, because you've made it a part of your life and you just know how to instantly tap in, right? People forget that, or they're never taught that from the beginning, right? So let's go back here. Verse 19, page 175 at the top. So the marshals selected from the Etherians of the rank of Das 10,000. Now the Das are such as have attained to power with the rod and water, and the rod with fire, but not with the hand, right? So when you are able to do away with these, because you now completely understand you no longer need things to help you manipulate the elements, you realize that you are pure magic yourself. You don't need all these props and stuff. You can just do it, right? I am the magic, right? Listen. Now the Das are such as have attained to power with the rod of water and the rod of fire, but not with the hand, like the ranks above them. They go amongst the denizens of a signal center hold on, I'm reading too fast. They go amongst the denizens of a signal center with the two rods, casting water with one of them and fire with the other. And the host of spirits in darkness run for them like cattle for salt. And the Das thus discover and assort them, for the lowest spirits go for the rods with water, and the highest for the rods of fire. Because the lowest spirits dread the light, and because the highest desire to be rescued from the lowest. On the second day, therefore, the Das began work, and there were baptized with water many millions, but with fire only 1 million. The latter were then taken without and beyond the walls of fire, and colonized and clothed and fed, and guardians placed over them, preparatory to the nurseries, hospitals, schools, factories, and such other educationals as belong in the lowest heaven. On the third day, the Das went through the same labor again, and again many millions were baptized with water, but 2 million with fire. Now, I want to say this is a play on words, or maybe even our ignorance in religion. It said the lowest of them rushed for the water, the whole baptism. I'm just like, dang. I ain't gonna expound on it, but it just hit me. Listen, let me just read it again. Verse 20, and it's on like a couple more verses, then we'll be done with this chapter. On the second day, therefore, the Das began work, and there were baptized with water many millions, but with fire only 1 million. The latter were then taken without and beyond the walls of fire, and colonized and clothed and fed, and guardians placed over them, preparatory to the nurseries, hospitals, schools, factories, and other such educationals as belong to the lowest heaven. You know what? I should have went up one more. I'm sorry. Let me go back up to verse 19. So the marshals selected from the Etherians of the rank of Das 10,000. Now the Das are such as have attained to power with the rod with water and the rod with fire, but not with the hand like the ranks above them. They go amongst the denizens of a signal center with two rods, casting water with one and fire with the other. And then the host of spirits in darkness run for them like cattle for salt. And the Das thus discover and assort them, for the lowest spirits go for the rods with water. I'm going to leave the church alone today. Hold on. And the host of spirits in darkness run for them like cattle for salt. And the gods thus discover and assort them. For the lowest spirits go for the rods with water, and the highest for the rods of fire, because the lowest spirits dread the light. Wow. Because the lowest spirits dread the light, and because the highest desire to be rescued from the lowest. On the second day, therefore, the gods began work, and there were baptized with water many millions, but with fire only 1 million. The latter were then taken without and beyond the walls of fire, and colonized and clothed and fed, and guardians placed over them, preparatory to the nurseries, hospitals, schools, factories, and other such educationals as belong in the lowest heaven. So when you pass away from here, when you die here, what we call death here, they call being born there into that realm, right? So just like we got schools and educational grades that, you know, as you grow, you graduate, the same thing happens when you're fully born into spirit, right? You have to go through this process. You learn how to fully operate in spirit now, which a lot of that you should have learned before you left, right? But sometimes it don't always work out that way. On the third day, the gods went through the same labor again, and again, many millions were baptized with water, but 2 million with fire. The latter were also taken without and beyond the walls of fire, and colonized in the same manner as those of the previous day. Such then is the labor of the gods in hell, baptizing and selecting, and it continueth until all the people are taken without and beyond the walls, meaning all those who were in that portion of hell. It's time to get y'all out of here, right? Hell is not forever. And neither is it a punishment that the Creator sends you to because you didn't worship Jesus Christ while you still had your flesh. That's the biggest lie ever given to man. I know that sounds like blasphemy to Christian ears, but just stick around for a while. We'll show you why you can test these things while you're here. You absolutely can. You absolutely can. And if people actually tested some of these principles that they were being taught in their church, they wouldn't look like nutcases out here, and which is why nobody want to come to your church. They're going to teach me to be like you. I'll pass. Thank you, but no thanks. I'm so serious. Such then is the labor of the gods in hell, baptizing and selecting, and it continueth until all the people are taken without and beyond the walls. The last taken are therefore the lowest grade, and the first taken are the highest grade. But the last are usually so low in knowledge and ambition that they move not of themselves, but are bestowed in nurseries and hospitals to be cleansed from their foulness and to be healed of their infirmities. And that's the end of chapter 11. It's getting good, y'all. And they ain't even complete. They ain't even really got started yet for real. Fragapad ain't even got started. He ain't even made it to earth yet, right? They just coming through the heavens that belong to the earth and cleaning them up a little bit before we actually reach the mortals who are alive, walking in flesh with all kinds of shenanigans going on. All right, y'all, where we at? Ooh, 7:03. All right, y'all. Kings and Queens Coaching Group, what's going on, fam? Got my assignments for today. I got to roll for real this time. Get out there, be safe, drive safe. Just me. All right, y'all. Big wheel. So hell is not a burning place. Hell is a school of cleaning, right? I say it's a bit of both. From what I understand now, like I explained a little bit earlier, I'm not sure if you had come in yet, but hell, the way you get taught about it, I'm not sure what background you come from, but a lot of people here come from the church. We just got tired of the crap. It's like, it's got to be more than this. But the way they teach you in church is that, simply put, if you deny Jesus Christ while you're here, then you pretty much making your place in hell, right? Everything else you can be saved from, but if you don't accept him, you're going to hell, or blaspheming the Holy Spirit, right? You'll find your place in hell. That's not really true, Not like I said, I know that sounds like blasphemy, but you really got to test the principles, and you really have to look in it, and those things can really be tested, especially if you develop your spirit and you're able to tap into the spiritual realm and directly talk to the creator yourself, because clearly his wisdom is higher than man's. And there are things that can be tested and proven while we're here, which is why we no longer have that fear that overshadows us about hell, or you didn't went off, you in a cult. No, I'm not. And like those words don't even bother me anymore, because once the creator, our Father in heaven, makes that a reality in your life where you can see and understand it, that whole fear thing, that fear mongering that the church, and not just the church, a lot of other religions do it, they just do it in a different way for their particular savior or whatever, that goes out the door. And you can no longer scare me with that, right? So what they teach you is that there's a hell that you're going to burn in forever, where the worm dieth not and the thirst is not quenched, right? It could be a little bit of that, right? But they're giving you that. They're, first of all, they're pretty much just peddling what they've heard over years without testing it. It can be a little bit of that, right? But what happens is the hell that you're going to, and I know it's going to sound a little new age or whatever, but literally, you literally created yourself. Now, how does that happen? By the life that you live here, right? Let's use okay, not to be the dead horse, let's just use meat. Let's use meat, right? Let's use eating animals, eating flesh, right? A lot of us have. I used to for a very long time in my life. But what happens is, when you are consuming other sentient beings, and animals are sentient beings, they are beings who have spirits and souls, maybe not as developed and as intelligent as ours are, or sometimes they could be, they just don't know how to intelligently speak as we do to one another. They can talk to one another, but we can't understand them. They can fully understand us, right? That's what's crazy. They can fully understand us, and you tell the dog, go sit in that corner, the dog will go sit in that corner. Like, you can train them and they'll understand, right? But however you live your life, when you're and you can test it. When you're eating flesh, you become dull spiritually. I know some people in church or whatever, they get up there and preach somebody right out of hell, so to speak. And then afterwards, maybe at the buffet, chicken dinner, steak, overweight, all this stuff, right? And it's like something ain't lining up, right? You can't do these things for a long period of time and not have it affect your spirit. Now, we may not be able to see it for years. You may fool us for a very long time. But if you stay alive long enough, we're going to begin to see the fruits of those things, how you live. And if you die eating flesh, you're going to hover around this earth realm. Excuse me. If you're familiar with the book of Enoch, chapter 15, that goes into detail about some of these things, Waspi kind of it really expounds on that and goes a lot deeper into what Enoch chapter 15 talks about. So the demons, those spirits that hover around the earth that mess with people who's still alive, they're not like these imps and all this kind of crazy stuff. Those are humans who have died, who have not been able to rise because they consumed flesh and blood while they were here. That will weigh your spirit down, right? So whatever you do here will carry on when you're fully born in the spirit. If you spend your time developing your spirit, meditate, not that you're going to be perfect and you're going to reach the highest level. We should strive for the highest level before we go learn how to manipulate the elements, which is why we get what seems to us a long lifetime. It could have been way longer. But the better you take care of yourself physically and spiritually, the longer you will live, the more insight you will get, right? So if you are on that wave, when you pass, when you die here, you will be able to rise a lot higher through the atmosphere of the earth, all the way up into the heavens, right? You cause that by what you do here. So if when you leave here and you in the torments of hell and fire, you might want to consider your ways. Were you wronging people while you were here? How did you live your life? People think they're going to get away with these things, but you absolutely will not, right? Whatever you done messed up, whatever fires you done created, you got to learn how to put them out. You have to put them out. You have to make amends. And if you don't do it while you're here, you're going to have to do it when you get there. You don't get away from it. It's just like, you know what? Forget y'all. I'm out. Peace. And you give up the ghost saying like, all is perfect. No, homie, we've been waiting for you. You remember what you had did to my cousin Shanika? Right? So especially if you this year, everything changes. Look. Okay, that was my alarm. I got 5 minutes left. Man, we didn't get into Peter. I be talking too much. Oh my gosh. 2 days was supposed to get over to Peter. I got it open. At least we got it open this time. Hold on. This chapter, it's 104 verses. Ugh. Listen. So if when you die and you go into hell or whatever, and you are being whatever tormented by the fires of hell, is because of what you did while you were here. You literally created that for yourself, right? Those who are walking with the Creator, not somebody trapped in religion, worshiping Jesus Christ, all of these things. Like I said, I know they sound like blasphemy, but you have to test the principles, right? We are to be diligent testers of things while we're here, not just followers because it sounds good or somebody threaten us with the fires of hell. It's enough of that. Time has passed. Too much time has passed for that. By doing that to people, getting them caught up in religion, it really makes them susceptible to not just religious lies, but a lot of other things in the world, even down to your professions and what you do. Like you really become dulled down and you don't make any kind of impact on the world at all. Like, why are you here? Right? So you have to break those bondages. But there are two types of fire in hell. Those that it's like the repercussions and the consequences of what you've done, right? And you can still deal with it while you're there. It just depends on who teach you about it, right? Some people still choose not to because you carry all your senses with you, right? So all that you know here, you're going to continue to know when you get there. But also when you get there, and you become truly, I guess you, for lack of a better word, truly repentant of your sin or whatever and what you've done, even if you haven't hurt anybody, but you've just defiled your own body, right? Because this right here, this is truly a temple. This is where the flame of our great Creator resides, right? We are a flame of His flame. If we destroy the temple that the flame of the Creator lives in, we're going to pay for that. Not that He's going to punish us, but when He created this universe, there were laws that were set in place. There is an equal and opposite reaction to every action that we take, right? There are laws and everything that are set in place. So if you go touch a hot stove, you're going to realize that it's hot. It's the same thing with the spirit. It really is as simple as that. I kid you not, and you can test it. So whatever it is you've done, you will benefit, or you're going to reap the consequences of such things. So if you go there and you begin to, all right, man, I really screwed up when I had my body. I want to get this right now, right? So, and I'm gonna say you're never alone. If you happen to find yourself stuck in that realm, a lot of people think it's down, like you going down below and looking up. Nope, the hell realm, it's on the earth's atmosphere and it's above us, like that first level, right? That's resurrection 1. When you die here, you don't want to end up in resurrection 1. You want to at least be resurrection 2 or higher, right? Because the shenanigans happen here on the earth, and in resurrection 1, the higher you get, the more refined your spirit has come, the more refined your spirit has become. You're developing, you're growing, just like you're transitioning through schools, elementary, intermediate, or middle school. Then you have high school, then you have college, then you have specialty, all of those things. The spirit is the same way, whether you're here or whether you're there. So there are also fires that are there for those who are ready to graduate to the next level. And even sometimes, like it said here, even if they have become so low where they don't know their right hand from their left, and it said that they kind of just graduated them a little bit, right? They walled them about in walls of fire, or the lowest deranged ones in walls of water so that they can move them to the nurseries and the hospitals, right? And they have to restore them to their senses, because you can't grow without having your full senses active, right? So some people they're murdered here, and they enter into the realm, the unseen realm, in chaos, and so they have to be healed. Like all of these things, if you begin to understand it and you study it and you test it, don't take my word for it. You have to learn how to start testing some of these things. You will see that there is this amazing growth pattern and sequence that our great creator has created, not just here on earth, but in the spirit, but also we can see it in multiple levels while we're here, inwardly, outwardly, going through school. It's the same pattern repeating for everybody. It just looks a little bit different, right? The same pattern that babies who are born and they're going through the stages of adolescence to young adulthood, that same pattern and path of growth is happening for adults, but in a different way, developing the spirit, right? Hold on one second. Oh, you got it? Okay. So I know I got into all that. You just asked about the fires of hell, but there are two types. Those are the ones that are, I guess, refining, like you said, refining you. There are fires that refine you, which we can see that while we're here. All right, it's not letting. All right, I'll be right there. So there are fires that will refine you, and there are fires down there that if you don't get a hold of it, it'll just burn you more. And we can see that principle. It happens here. There are controlled fires that can refine. If there's a forest fire, firefighter, sometime if it hasn't gotten too out of hand, they'll create another fire to control the fire that's already gone. But that takes somebody that's skilled, just like the ones when it talked about those, the DAS, the DAS, those who wielded the rods of fire and the rods of water. They're wielding these fires and waters, but then there are those that have developed higher than they have that don't need these. We've learned how to do it with our hands, with ourselves. We are the control, right? They've learned another level of they went up another level in understanding, just like math problems, right? We doing addition and subtracting, right? Well, some a little bit higher than you, we know that that's backwards and upside down, which we get multiplication and division. It's just a higher understanding of addition and subtraction. Then you start getting into the equations and fractions. It's just a higher level, higher understanding of addition and subtraction. So yeah, in other words, hell is a detox. I never heard about it that way, but listen, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that, Big Will, right? Yeah. I don't disagree with that. That's good, right? And look, I used to, well, I ain't gonna say I used to, I still do. I call hell remedial. You know how you fail a grade? You want a remedial, buddy, right? You gotta go to summer school. Yeah, especially when you done left here already. You didn't tricked off all your time on earth. Well, you can't go back, because that process, you know, even though they're teaching that in some places, you can't go back there, right? When you do go back, it's because you're fully born spirit and you're going to help those who are there to transition through, to grow appropriately. But you didn't make it past 5th grade. We got to send you to 5th grade hell. Right? So, but all right, y'all, listen, we still didn't even get over here. Jamia, hey girl, hey. The lies the church and the priests of Mahan have told us. Shaking my head. I know, right? Listen, the church lies are really false gods' works. The mortals are just obedient sheep. I don't disagree with that either, right? The false gods, which are humans, right? Humans, one-time humans, they're fully born spirit now. And they're still the false gods you have, they're lingering between the earth realms. They don't get past the second realm. If there's somebody, that's how you know if you're worshiping a false god. If you're in a religion or somewhere and they're commanding you to worship a deity, you might want to check out what they're really teaching you. Now, there may be some little flickers of power, different things that'll woo and awe you. And Owaspi is really good about explaining that and how it And even though some people really think that they're doing what the great spirit, the great creator of the universe has desired them to do, they don't realize they're pawns in the hands of those false gods who have driven people to worship. Literally, you're literally worshiping other humans. That's what you're doing. And if you align with the creator, he never once tells you to worship him. What does a good mother and father want you to do, right? If we're children, if we're spirits of the great spirit, which means we're children of the great parent, right? What do our parents want us sitting around up in their face all day worshiping them? Now, you may have a little bit of that when they're younger, right? Mommy, I just love you so much, and hugging you and kissing you and always want to hold on you. And that was this era, the idols, to teach you something, right? But as you grow and as you develop, you put those things away, you become a little bit more independent. You will be what I am in days to come. I'm gonna teach you how to walk, how to be independent, how to take care of yourself like we do ourselves, right? It's a process that's constantly repeating itself, right? So if you're in a place where you're being told to constantly cast down your crown at the feet of the Savior and worship, you might want to, excuse me, I got a question. You might want to start asking some questions, because the Creator will never have you wasting your whole life doing this. Because what does that do? It makes you inefficient and you don't accomplish a lot. You do not accomplish a lot and you waste most of your life. You trick it away in religious services and you haven't done anything to develop your spirit, right? Except for laying on your face prostrate all day, crying out and begging and asking for stuff. Well, didn't I give you 2 hands and feet? Are you healthy? Go out here, learn a skill, develop yourself, right? The Creator has created us to constantly develop, perpetually develop. Laying down in the bed all the time does not develop our spirits. Creator would never tell you to do that. Even though we adore the Creator, we love our parents. We don't be sitting up in their face all day. Well, what is you doing with your life? No, you can't come back and live with me for the 15th time, right? Because apparently I'm your safety net. You need to really believe that you don't have a safety net. A lot of people don't get fired up under their butt until they hit rock bottom and they think that they have absolutely nothing left, right? So religious factions and places have gotten people all out of whack where they can't focus. They scared for what tomorrow might bring. They're waiting for a ship to come pick them up out of Babylon. They're waiting for a rapture to happen. And those buses never come. They never come. Think about all these many years, all these generations, and people have not gotten it. They have not tested the things that they were being taught, right? Because you can completely test them here, right? And if you pull yourself away for just a little bit of time and seek the Creator yourself, and you can go to prayer, whatever you want to call it. Like, I need some help here because I know you exist. Something exists bigger than me, right? All this stuff is beautiful. Somebody had to create it. So I'm talking to you, the great Creator of all these things in me. Help me. You got to unplug from the constant outpouring that churches do and other religious places. You got to shut it off so you can get clear. Separate the voices from your own and from the voice of the Creator, and then you can hear, right? And a lot of times it's going to be a lot different from what the churches teach you to do. Give us your money. The Creator's like, you better go pay your rent. Give it to us for the building fund, and the Lord is going to bless you. The Creator's like, I created you to have common sense and to develop your judgment. You choose. And so, Trina, hey, girl, y'all look good in that picture. I saw it. Stephen, shalom. Tiffany, hey, girl, hey. Yeah, we have family concern. We're doomed. I'm concerned about them. I know, Tiffany, right? Listen, so y'all, we gotta go. We still didn't even get into the shenanigans of Peter. Look, and we ain't gonna hold on. We ain't gonna be here tomorrow. Look, I played hooky yesterday. I ain't played hooky, but I was beat. Y'all overslept, so we'll call it playing hooky. We was out at the water park all day. The sun beating down on us in the water and stuff. I just couldn't. Came home, took a shower, and halfway made it to the bed, and then that was it. I ain't wake up in the middle of the night or nothing, right? Didn't hear the alarms or nothing. So But yeah, for this moon cycle, the Sabbath is on Wednesday, so we won't be here tomorrow. So here's what we're gonna do when we come back Thursday, so we can get through this next chapter. We're gonna do it backwards. Thursday, we're gonna start with the Holy Megillah to read these shenanigans about Peter, and once we're done with this, we'll hop back over to Owaspie and read the next chapter, which is what, chapter 13? Let me just read 11. No, chapter 12. We'll read chapter 12. And then Friday, we'll flip it back around. Owaspie first. And yeah, because when I read Owaspie, a lot of times we really don't make it to the Holy Megillah because Owaspie is so good and so rich. And the teachings are just amazing. And I can just expound forever on a lot of this stuff. So I'm going to give it a... We halfway through the Holy Megillah, on page 568. It's like 1100. This is the updated version. What is it? It's 1165, 1162, right? So we almost. We about at the halfway point. So that's it, y'all. That's it for today. Girl, we had a ball, right? Okay, y'all. That's it. I love y'all. It is Tuesday, August the 29th, 2023, day 96 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets of the 5-year consecutive day count. It is day 1476. We read chapter 11 in Owaspie. That started on page 173, and that was it. I didn't put my ending page. Let me get it for you. We started on page, 176? 173. And we paused on page 176. I'm sorry. All right, y'all. So that's it for today. I love y'all. I'll see y'all back here Thursday morning. Bright and early. 6:15-ish, right? We're definitely going to start before 6:30. I'm trying to get that morning time now. The Lord's still working on me. I'm joking. I need to pull myself together. All right. We need to keep breaking down the hell teaching so we can become free from its bondage. I don't disagree with that. I do not disagree with that, right? Because some people I was pretty scary coming out to church. I'm just like, listen, they told me I was going to hell, but Father, I really broke away just to really see you. I need help. They ain't really helping me over there. It seemed like I hit a wall with growth. I need help. But I'm really going to hell? Because I don't want to go to hell. Don't nobody want to go to hell. We won't play with Satan like that. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I see y'all back here Thursday morning. Bruce.
But I see through you.
I'm from outer space. I got Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. I'm gold. I've been far away. I'm
What did you just do to me?
I pushed your astral form out of your physical form.
What's in that tea? Psilocybin? LSD?
It's just tea. With a little honey.
What just happened?
For a moment, you entered the astral dimension.
What?
A place where the soul exists apart from the body.
Why are you doing this to me?
To show you just how much you don't know. Open your eye.
What's happening? This isn't real. This isn't real. This isn't real. This is...
dreaming about dying for a long time. I had a vision from the crazy one.
His heart rate is getting dangerously high.
He looks all right to me. You think that this material universe is all there is?
I don't need gravity.
What mysteries lie beyond the reach of your senses? Existence, mind and matter meet. Thoughts shape reality.
I don't need gravity. I just need hope. I'm used to this present. I'm a fine line. Yeah, I'm a mislead of this illusion.
Some benevolent and life-giving, filled with malice and hunger. Dark places where powers older than time and waiting.
I don't swim or sink, I just float.
Who are you in this vast multiverse?
I don't need gravity, I just need rope. I don't need gravity, I just need growth.
Have you seen that before in a gift shop?
I don't need gravity, I just need growth.
Teach me.
No.
Is it a quick rumble? I won't ever ever fall, never stumble. And I don't need to be humble. Break down walls like Jericho crumble.